everyone. Welcome to Buzzing About Romance. I am Becky.
And I am Leah.
And on this episode, we are joined by podcast contributors Jenny and Lindsay. Hi, friends.
Hi.
Um,
Just loud and enthusiastic.
Everybody's excited to be here.
Talking about my favorite kind of heroes today.
It means they like us.
They do like us.
Yeah.
Make sure you stay to the end of the episode. We have an exclusive first listen for us of an audio clip of Give Me Love by Corinne Michaels. This is in partnership with Lyric Audiobooks. So on this episode, we hope to not induce rage. However, we would love your feedback and your reviews on this episode after you listen.
Or just a strongly worded email works as well. Because I like a strongly worded email.
On this episode of Buzzing About Romance, we are going to talk all about the shy and nerdy characters in romance. We are also going to touch on the beta hero, because in the midst of our research, we found that quite a few of these heroes would fall into that category. And then also, if you look at the hero as defined as something else, they still are basically beta characters. And
some, but not all.
Not all.
Most. Anyway, we're going to share some of our favorite main characters that either are okay being behind the scenes or live up to the culture of nerdiness. This might also be, we will talk about beta heroes. What does it mean when we say nerdy, shy, and beta? So what does it mean if we say this is a nerdy character? What are we looking for?
So the nerdy character is somebody who is, I want my nerdy hero to be somebody who's extremely smart, who is ensconced in their world, whether they are a D&D fan or whether they are a computer geek or a comic book nerd or just an all-around nerd. Like, they are this intelligent person who sometimes, but not always, is a little bit socially awkward.
Okay. Lindsay, what do you want to see in a shy, nerdy, or beta heroine person?
I don't know that it's just shy. Like a lot of the ones that I picked are almost like reclusive more than shy. So I think like there's a line there, but I definitely think the ones that I gravitate to are like ridiculously smart characters. Like ones who are kind of like the unexpected. Like they're just
closet nerd.
Unexpected. Yeah, they're like a closet nerd, but like you really don't know much about them until you're like embedded deep into the story, and then you're learning like, holy crap, these people are so smart and like they're doing all these really cool things. And that's the kind of like shy nerdy character I gravitate towards.
Jenny, shy, nerdy, and beta.
All right, so I made a Venn diagram. And I
which
think
we will share on the shelf show notes.
We will, because Jenny is showing her nerdy side.
I am, because I think these all overlap, but I think you can only be like two at a time. If you were all three, I'm not quite sure what that's called.
We should make up a word for it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure what that kind of character would be. But similar to Lindsay, I feel like the shy characters, they're often they're dealing with social anxiety, or they just don't like people and they get labeled as shy. And the nerdy characters, they have to be an expert at something, like whether that is like fandom or technology or medicine, whatever.
They have like a nerdy niche.
Yes, like they are the go-to for something.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see these characters be super smart. And actually, because it's fiction and there's literary license, I want these to be extreme. When you hand me a book and say, oh my gosh, this is a shy hero, I want an almost recluse. I want someone that's like in the background, not pushing themselves out in the forefront. I want the nerdiness to be so
Exaggerated.
yeah, so exaggerated that lives the nerdy lifestyle, the D&D or, the comic book fandom that they're in. Now, I say all of that, but I'm also someone that bitches and complains when a book has too many pop culture references. So,
Well, but I think it depends on how they delve into those pop culture references, whether or not it works or not. Like, I don't like a book with a ton of pop culture references, but if you're talking about, like, say, a comic book nerd, if you're a comic book geek and nerd, like, those are not pop culture references. Like, those are cultural references for your comic book life. And I think that is where the differential goes with that kind of stuff.
okay. What do you
A
like?
lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
In a fandom. It's definitely nerdy.
Fandom is a lifestyle. I mean, and I think about it because, like, I love Broadway and I love all parts of Broadway and I know random Broadway facts and it is part of our lifestyle. Like, I often dream that my life would be a musical and I could just burst into song while I do dishes.
Would that be so cool? Or the birds would like dress you for the day.
Okay, I don't like birds, so no.
That's true. You don't like
The
birds.
penis.
but-
Or mice, so maybe the squirrels. What do you like about these different character types? So what do we like about a shy and nerdy character? What do we like about even a beta character? What are some of the things that are endearing about these different subsets of characters?
Okay, can I go first?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so I really love these books. I had no rage about these because I really love them. And a lot of the stories that I like are ones where the hero or like the shy nerdy character is actually like kind of an outcast of society for some reason or another. There's a criminal aspect to a lot of them where like they're smart or like their talent in the smart world has landed them as an outcast. And it also opens the door for like authors to cover like kind of topics and romance that we don't usually see or don't always see. And they're almost like, and some of the ones I would say are like almost not an anti-hero, but they have some anti-hero elements to it. So I think like the ones that I gravitate to and what I like about the trope is that it's like very different than what you see traditionally in contemporary romance.
I'd agree. I do think that in current contemporary romance, we don't see a ton of shy and nerdy. However, I will say, I believe we see more betas now than we've ever seen in
Mhm.
romance, but we don't call them betas. But we'll get to that.
Well,
We'll get to that. Jenny, you in that square, what do you like about these different characters? What draws you into these stories?
I think for all three of these like subtypes, their persona like to the general public is not as important. Like they're not overly concerned with how they're being viewed by the public at large. And usually it gets down to like, I only care about like what you think about me or a subgroup of people. So they're not like, I don't know, self-indulgent, like
mhm.
stuck
Why
on
not?
themselves.
They're not chasing trends. It's
Right.
it's kind of like being on social media. You're not chasing the likes. You're not chasing the algorithm. You're just happy and content in this moment doing your kind of thing.
It's the people that grew up in the 90s that never stopped dressing like they were in the 90s. And so they're actually really cool right now
I
because they've never
feel-
changed the way they dress.
I feel attacked.
No, I'm speaking from personal experience here. So
I'm not buying low-rise jeans, Leah, ever.
no, oh no, I'm not either. But I'm just saying, like the flannels over the t-shirts, like that stuff is back. And it's like I never really stopped dressing like that. So now I'm cool again. I was never cool.
You're not. Leah, do you have something to say about why you like these kinds of characters?
I do because they're the types of people that they're me. Like I am in a social setting. Like I am not that outgoing person. I am not a shy person, but in social settings, like I don't like to be like the center of attention. So these are people that I understand. Like I can understand, like I am a little bit nerdy. I am fully aware of that. And so these are my people, like the shy, the nerdy. I mean, I'm not a beta hero, but I could probably be one.
Probably. And it's funny because these are my least favorite kinds of characters, except
Oh,
the
really?
nerds. I do like the nerds. Because married the nerds. Raising the nerds. But I struggle the most with these kinds of books. These
Because
are
they are relatable.
there's things within it that are quirky in the book, but then I look at that and I think that does not relate to real world. I mean, it does, but it's something I struggle with because
Mhm.
pushing someone to be more outgoing, pushing someone to and not that I'm pushing, but it's please talk. Share your thoughts to the world. You're smart and beautiful and people want to know what you want to say. So these are characters in books that I don't love and I don't gravitate towards them. Like when I went
Mhm.
looking at my list, this is one of those where I didn't have a list of 80 books to recommend.
See, but I feel like the shy, like that moniker is like it's kind of bugs me because a person is not inherently shy. Like shy is not a type. Like shy, like my 8-year-old, I mean, granted, she's 8, but I'm using her as an example. You get her in a setting where she is uncomfortable and she is extremely shut down. Like she closes in on herself. But if she is in a place where she is comfortable and okay, like she is that outgoing, like out of control kid in person, and she is like bubbly and happy. But it's like you put her in a setting where she's uncomfortable, she becomes that shy persona. So it's one of those things that bugs me too, because it's like, what is shy? Like, why are these people shy?
So I
Right.
pose a question.
feel like
Go ahead.
I feel like shy gets like a negative like
Uh-huh.
rap, like
100%.
because I was the shy kid growing up. Like
But were you really shy or were you just
I
socially
I
anxious?
just yes, I still have a lot of social anxiety, and sometimes I just don't want to talk to people. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people think I'm really bitchy.
right.
But you are really bitchy.
Oh, I am, but like in
They
groups
don't
of
have
people,
something to make that.
I'm not
that-
bitchy in this like little foursome
You're
because I
not.
like you guys.
You're not. But it's so funny because we talk about this all the time. Everyone thinks that I'm like the mean one because I'm the confrontational of the two of us.
But I'm the
Petty
quiet.
Betty lives in Pennsylvania.
Petty
Um,
Betty does live in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so one of the things that came up while I was doing my research looking for the nerdy heroine, because I was really looking for a very specific nerdy heroine, the gamer, the comic book enthusiast, the over-the-top crafty collector heroine, or the one that cosplays or something like that. Like that's what I was looking for when I was looking for nerdy heroine.
Mhm.
In my search, authors write an extraordinarily large amount of characters they classify as nerdy because they're bookish
Or a librarian.
or a
Like,
librarian.
mhm.
So why are bookish heroines automatic classified as nerdy?
I think it's because, I mean, I personally I am happy and content lost in the pages of a book, and I will spend
Same.
hours in that book. But I think it is the fact that you get so engrossed in this world. And sometimes that correlates to how you.
Books are my whole identity. Like books, all the clothing I wear is bookish clothing. Like books are my whole identity. But at the end of the day, is that
You're not the nerdy one in your family.
I'm not.
But what constitutes nerdy? Like, what is a nerd? Like, there's the ultimate question, though. Like,
Also,
is
how
it
do
somebody-
I cosplay? How do I cosplay a romance?
You would totally
hero?
cosplay
You're gonna
romance
be a
if you could do
giant
it.
book.
A giant book?
Yep.
I could be a book
I'm
cover and
just
get
saying.
abs.
You would
There you
totally
go.
cosplay. So if you're going off of that definition, you are a nerd. You're a book nerd.
I
And you
will say, I
collect,
didn't read-
yeah, tons of books.
You collect things that don't get opened.
yeah.
What?
You have a Barbie doll right behind you that you will never open
Those
because
are
it is
trophies.
a book. Exactly. It is a bookish trophy. Those action figures people collect that never get out of the box. Those are
Wait,
those
I undressed
nerdy
those. Ken has blue underpants.
Okay, but have you touched them since?
No.
Have they moved off of the shelf since you looked at his underoos?
No. Anyway, he has blue underpants in case anyone was wondering.
Are they actual underpants or are they painted on him?
They're painted on blue, like molded
Okay.
plastic blue in his
in his non-atomically correct body.
uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, he
so-
also has a spattering of chest hair, which you can't see when you just look at it from the pictures. You got to go in and investigate these things.
But you will never open that box again. So
I mean, I will if you want to see his blue underpants. I would do it for
I don't
you.
need to see
I
his blue
think,
underpants.
I think you should make
trust
that a
you.
YouTube video.
Nope.
I
The,
think you should
the
have a happy
undressing
hour
of the
dedicated
raider.
entirely
Yeah.
to checking out your doll's underpants.
Oh, you could put them in.
Okay.
You could put them in unsatisfactory positions.
Not on YouTube, you can't.
We are off course. Lindsay, do you think bookish heroines are automatically nerdy?
I think that they're too common to be like defined under the nerdy trope. I think that there are so many other books that do detail truly nerdy characters, or like characters that would classify as like smart and nerdy or like untraditional in romance in ways like that's becoming a lot more popular in romance, to where I think it's just like too default for it to be considered. Like none of the ones on my list are bookish.
Okay. What's sometimes are misses with these types of characters for you? When we think about the shy, the nerdy, the beta, what are things that are misses for you in these books?
Emotional intelligence. Like there are things that these characters tend to portray that automatically make them a beta kind of hero, and they make me really not like the character at all. Like when they're incredibly smart to the point where they're like a billionaire CEO of their company, but they can't even communicate or entertain the idea of doing things differently to actually go after the things that they want on like an emotional and personal level. And I think you see that a lot, more on like the billionaire smart intersection, but there's been like a number of books that I've read like that.
Well, it's like they're emotionally stunted. It's like he can't be smart and an emotional person.
Right. That's what I was
interesting,
to
But
say.
it's also like they're too old to be that emotionally immature.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they're also like in a CEO type position, like you can't be like it doesn't make sense. Like it's a situation where it like doesn't add up. All the components, like
Yeah, you have to have some relational skills to get to where you're at.
You know, it's funny because as soon as you said that, like emotionally stunted, I thought of that Annika Martin book that Gloria had me listen to. He was the Wake Up Call Girl one. He's a grown-ass man running $1 billion tech firm, and he can't handle an alarm, and he can't handle not having the answers he wants. And it just had this really immature feel to it. And yes, he was very much a beta, successful and uber smart, but those were misses for me for him because he lacked the maturity you would expect.
I think writers use that as almost like a character license. Like they try and make it a character flaw, but at the same time, it's part of their like personality. It's like it happens a lot. It's like I can't be smart and happy and like have a relationship. Like there has to be something wrong with me.
What misses for you on these, Jenny?
I would agree the same thing, like the inability to like carry a conversation or like just the social awkward, because I am a social awkward person myself. Like if people know when they are socially awkward, like you're not deaf to the inability to like function correctly in society. Like, you know, when you're a little off, and like when characters are just like completely clueless and think everyone should function the same way they do, like that drives me crazy.
So, as I was researching this episode, and we originally just started with Shy and Nerdy, and as I kept going through it, I kept coming across these characters that I would deem as beta heroes. And then if you go onto Goodreads, you can look where people shelved books. And so I was going through a list of one where a book I would say that the hero is definitely a little on the nerdy side, and it was shelved more as a beta hero. And I was like, interesting. So I started doing a little bit more research and I started looking, and a lot of times these books that I would pick as beta heroes are also shelved not only as beta heroes, but as cinnamon rolls, or shelved as shy, but a beta, nerdy, but a beta. And it got me thinking about the beta hero. And I think that this is going to launch a whole nother episode where we're going to really have to dissect the beta. But I do have a question to pose to all of you, because I've made some people angry and I'm just looking for feedback. And if you're listening and you want to send me a strongly worded email with your thoughts, I would love to have it. Send us a voice memo and we'll include it in our next episode and let you kind of let everyone hear from our listeners. So here's the question I'm posing. Are beta heroes really just cinnamon roll heroes? Discuss. And no one wants to say anything.
I think sometimes. I don't think every cinnamon roll hero is a beta hero, because there are those cinnamon roll heroes with the alpha tendencies. They're few and far between.
But give me 3 characteristics of what you would call a cinnamon roll hero. Each of you. 3 characteristics. Or each of you give me one.
Like a nice guy.
Okay.
A nice guy is a cinnamon roll hero.
What else?
Like a gruff outside kind of like gives that, I don't know, angry or like intimidating feel.
Mm-hmm.
You think that a cinnamon roll does?
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Lindsay? What's a characteristic of a cinnamon roll for you?
They're sweet. Like they tend to like make a lot of decisions that are in the best interest of the heroine, and they really can't kind of stop themselves.
So let me read you the literary definition. I have 2 of them of what a beta hero is, okay? Betas are usually a more mild-mannered type of hero. No burst of unwanted or unwarranted jealousy from these guys. For the most part, they've got their stuff together, and their relationships with the heroine is more complementary instead of built on constant conflict. Second definition. Beta males are fun, confident, and charismatic. They are also driven and tend to be highly motivated. This makes them desirable as dating partners, and many women seek out betas as partners when they realize they don't have the dating marketplace value to secure an alpha male as a partner.
Yeah, I think that's a cop-out, because then it's giving the woman that's a bad thing. I don't like that.
It's the ultimate why do nice guys lose, though?
But every woman can get the alpha partner. Like, I don't like the way that's worded.
I didn't
It's
say
like,
the wording was...
But alphas can be assholes. Who wants to put up with that
But
all
I'm
the time?
just saying.
Like,
I'm just saying.
But if
The
you
wording
take...
in that is not okay.
But if you take those 2 definitions, those 2 characteristics, and you look at what we classify as a cinnamon roll hero, or the sunshine, a male sunshine,
Mm-hmm.
that is those beta heroes. Confident, fun, charismatic.
But I still don't think every cinnamon roll is a beta hero, because I would not classify Wade from Dirty Talker as a beta hero, but I do think he's a cinnamon roll.
Why wouldn't he be a beta, though?
Because he has those like unwarranted
He can't
jealousy
push
moments.
himself out to say the words that he's attracted to her. He kind of pussyfoots around it a little bit. He's not jealous. He's all in and ready to help her when she needs to leave to go to the family.
But
doesn't
but there are
control her,
moments. No, he doesn't. But there are moments
and he
where,
hates conflict.
yeah, but I don't think I would classify Wade as a beta.
But based on these definitions,
But it's a
kinda is.
feeling. But I don't
No, I
think
kind of see what Becky's saying though, and I don't think I disagree. I would say that like based on that definition and what you're saying, I would say I would define like an alpha hero as someone who's more likely to push the heroine's boundaries in a more aggressive way. And a lot of the heroes that you're talking about aren't that at all. And now it's kind of like making me think.
They're not aggressive. Beta heroes are going to be the nice guy. It's going to be the guy you want to sit down and have a drink with, that you're going to cry on his shoulder when you get screwed over and cheated on. And
Yeah,
how
I
many
think
Friends
more
to
of
Lover
a-
books do we read where she's been screwed over, leans on the best friend, and then because of that, they fall in love? Why'd she go to the best friend? He's the nice guy.
he's not always the nice guy though. Just saying.
I just think it's an interesting conversation. I think what's happened is and Leah's kind of showing an example of this. The word beta has a negative connotation in literature. We're all looking at the weak, simping guy that doesn't have any foundation. Okay.
I like a beta hero.
But I think that when I'm saying, Wade, he's confident, he's charismatic, he's hardworking, he's the nice guy, he's a beta because he's not aggressive. He's not pushing his agenda. So as a result, you're like, you're wrong, which I could be. I'm not saying I'm right in the authority on this. All I'm saying is in society and in literature, we have given a negative connotation to the word beta heroes. We all look at them
Yes.
as being weak. So authors,
Cinnamon roll sounds a lot better. Like, who doesn't like a cinnamon roll?
the sunshine to the grumpy. I mean, if you look at Mike and I in our partnership, I'm the grouch. I mean, he's an asshole, but I love him. But I mean, he's kind of the sunshine a lot of times. He's the positive one. He's the nice guy picking up the pieces. So, but he's not a beta. At least I wouldn't say that he is, but he's not an alpha.
Yeah, I would classify Mike as a beta.
But I'm just saying that we in literature
But my
have,
Mike is a beta as well. Like he is non-confrontational.
but we've
What
given,
about
go ahead.
the concept of alpha heroines partnering with beta males? Because I think that's not like in literature, especially with a lot of the like when there are smart females, they do tend to have like more of those alpha type tendencies. And I don't think we always consider like usually we're just like, oh, it's the heroine, whatever. But like there are alpha heroines.
See, I think like Stone by Sawyer Bennett, Harlow is more of an alpha heroine,
Well,
and Stone is totally the beta hero.
We talk about the prickly heroine, right? Like Lindsay and I, 2 of our top reads this year are prickly heroines. Proposal They Can't Refuse and After Hours on Milagro Street, right? These are fierce, fierce women. Jeremiah in After Hours, he's a beta. He's an absolute beta. And one of the things that we have seen a little bit in the last year or two with the dawning of Ted Lasso, the TV series that's on Apple TV, which I have not watched. So I want to be very clear, I've not watched it. But it inspired a lot of authors to write what they were calling their cinnamon roll heroes to Ted Lasso. But if from what I read and all the reviews, the actual character of Ted Lasso is the
a beta.
epitome of a beta hero.
So let's give them the good people what the girl child says about these
Oh,
things.
okay. So Leah and I were having this discussion on Friday and we promised we'd give her a shout out. She wanted to let us all know. A beta is a normal, regular guy with nothing outstanding. He's a plain bagel. You need cream cheese and extras added to make it outstanding. The cinnamon roll. The cinnamon crunch bagel. You don't need to add anything, just enjoy. The alpha. Strong flavor override. You know, the flavor is there. No questions or doubts that it's a bagel with pizzazz. And that is character typing with the girl child. We compare it to bagels.
Oh, but when we were talking, but when we were talking it out with her, it's true. Like the beta is like that plain bagel, and like he needs like that strong heroine to like to add like the extra for him. Like the cinnamon roll, like the cinnamon crunch bagel, like you can enjoy it the way it is, but like if you have like add extra, it's still okay.
And the alpha can be in
I
everything,
agree.
but all you're tasting is the onion.
I think that beta is more like comfort food, mac and cheese.
Yeah, I see that.
I think plain bagel is too plain. I think it's more like
It's
mac
too
and cheese.
plain.
Okay.
I can see that.
That's why it needs some cream cheese. Like
Some cream cheese. That's true.
Okay, so let's get to our book recs. We will give you 1 to 2 book recs for nerdy, shy, and beta. And we will give like one quick key item from the book that makes it fit into this category, or you don't have to, because I just have books I want to tell you about. Like, just read books to add to your TBR. And you can read the blurb or message me and I'll tell you all about the book. Okay, Lindsay, we're going to start with you. Give us a rec, 1 or 2 recs for nerdy. Let us know if it's the heroine or the hero that is nerdy.
My first one, it's the hero. And the book is Always Practice Safe Hex by Juliet Cross.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Gareth Blackwater. And I think he is like probably like my perfect hero.
Okay.
Like it's close to perfect as it would get.
Sure.
And the like, intersection of like in the intersection of like smart and like I was talking about like how these heroes tend to like, or like the ones that I gravitate towards, like they definitely push the envelope in some ways about what's like legal and what's not. Like there's something interesting usually about what's happening with my heroes. And for him, I just think like there's like this, okay, I have a background in like philosophy and critical thinking, so I love this kind of thing. Like ethics, like the ethics of like what's right and wrong and like that gray area in between, like everything he does.
Okay.
So
do you have a
Let's
second?
talk about the book forever.
Do you have
I'll talk about that book forever. I mean, I could talk about any of those books.
Do you have a second nerdy rec?
Yeah, like nerdy in the sense I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to say Codename Hacker by Sawyer Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great
like
one.
Again, the heroine in that book, she is very much like Gareth Blackwater in the sense that like there's some legal boundaries being pushed, and I just really love that book.
I have BB on my list too.
BB's pretty phenomenal.
She is one of those ones where she's a badass. So she's one of those nerds that like she's not your atypical nerd. Like she's a computer genius and she's ensconced in that life, but you would not think that she was a super nerd when you meet her.
Okay, Leah, 1 to 2 book recs for nerdy. What you got?
Okay, my first one is Hard and Fast by Mary Carr. So the heroine is a computer programmer developer, but the hero, and I cannot think of their names off the top of my head. The hero is a Penny and Declan. Does
Maybe.
it start with a D? Look it up for me.
I will look it up.
But he is a closet nerd because he likes to game with them. And that is actually how they start their friendship and their relationship is he games with like his development team, who is like the nerd herd or the nerd circle, like the circle of nerds. They have a nickname.
The Nerd Council or something, right?
Yeah. I don't remember what they call them. But so it is this group of nerds who work together, but their boss, Gage.
Penny and Gage.
We were totally wrong.
Okay, so what's your second book rec?
My second one is First to Lie by Marie James. Mara owns a comic book store. And I mean, need I say more?
You don't. Jenny, what's your 1 or 2 nerdy book recs you got?
Love Hacked by Penny Reed. And actually, like the first thing I wrote about this was that Alex is living in the gray areas of the internet. So that kind of like goes along with Lindsay's
legal bounds
there. Yes. And my second one is Gaming the System. It's a series by Brenda Aubrey. And the first 3 books follow Mia and Adam, and they're both gamers.
Okay. So I have Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. They write fan fiction. this is how they meet. It's a show that the hero is actually on as an actor, but he writes his own fan fiction about, because it's based on a series of books. It's all about, it's kind of like a Games of Throne feel to TV epic show. And they meet writing fan fiction. I mean, fan fiction's pretty nerdy, guys.
It is.
And then next I'm going to go with Under the Bridge by Julia Wolf. Both characters again. They are neighbors and cosplay. She creates cosplay costumes. He is a drummer for a band, but is obsessed with anime. And his dream, and he gets to write a score for his friend's anime feature film. And it's like this big deal. Okay. Yay. I don't know. I don't get it. Okay, Jenny, let's go to Shy. Do you have 1 to 2 book recs for Shy?
Side Quest for Love by L.H. Causeway. This is where the like Shy, like beta, like overlap is, but both of those characters are side characters from other stories of hers. And the male character in this book, like he has kind of catfished another woman, and she's helping him out, like try to figure that
Okay.
situation out. And yeah, so
Yep.
like he's afraid to be himself.
Do you have a second for Shy?
Learning the Learning Game by Sarah Ney. It's in the How to Date a Douchebag series, and Rhett is a very conventional jock.
Mhm.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I like the unconventional jock because I have a couple of those on my Shy list too, that are these professionals, or top tier of their sport, but socially they like to play the game and go home.
Mhm.
Well, and like for this character, like he doesn't have the looks, like
Okay.
so he doesn't always have the confidence that comes with maybe
Interesting.
being at the top of his game.
Okay. Leah.
Okay, so my first Shy is Work in Progress by Stacey Hart. So Amelia is the heroine, and she is a bookworm, but she has she's socially shy, but she has a potty mouth. And when she gets it, so there's a group of 4 friends, but when they're together, she doesn't have that shyness. But it's one of those things where she, like, you see that socially awkward shyness, but she has a potty mouth that comes out at inappropriate times. So it's so funny.
What's your other one?
My other one is Black Velvet by Lynn Ray Harris. So Roberta she's kind of reclusive. She's a romance writer hers is situational because like she had some really crappy stuff happen. And so she just kind of like hides out, but she doesn't like being in big crowds, but she's a romance writer. And that makes me really like that book.
Okay, so for me, I have The Game Plan by Kristen Callahan. He is a football player, but he doesn't like the limelight. He's a defensive player, and he's very shy. And my other book rec, gosh, it's so hard to choose because I have so freaking many, you guys. Smitten by Lauren Rowe. Carolina and I just did a quick shot on this, and she's incredibly shy and wants to be a songwriter. But the evolution of the story takes her through like potentially being a pop star. And her hero is a bass player for a band, but he is also socially awkward. And I don't want to say he's shy because he's the life of the party. He's the guy in the middle of things, but together they're just these really quiet individuals. I do want to give a special shout out to The Chase by Danica Flynn. Maxine is incredibly shy, and she ends up with her polar opposite of heroes.
Lindsay, did you do your Shy yet?
No, I'm going to Lindsay.
Okay, I didn't know if you forgot about her.
No, but she's going to have things to say about Shy. So
I know she is.
Okay, Lindsay, your turn for Shy.
Okay, so like, I feel like I keep covering the same kind of authors, but I would say Maggie and Jiffy Kate's Eye Candy. she's shy, but I think the
Mhm.
book doesn't feature like her shyness for very long because so much of their relationship, she's like blooming and growing, kind of growing out of that. But I do think like I would classify her as a shy character.
Mhm.
And then one of the characters that I really love, I've just always kept like gravitating towards her in this book, Caitlin Parker and Penny Reed's Elements of Chemistry. I really just love her.
She
in
likes
that
closets.
book. Yeah, she hides in closets. But she's
It's a
incredibly smart. And she's like, yeah, she's very socially awkward.
I feel like Penny though, like she writes the shy character and the nerdy character quite a bit.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have like I had to like pick and choose which one of her books, but I wrote down like a bunch of her books. Pretty much
Mhm.
like all of her Knitting in the City series, and then her Laws of Physics series, like incredibly shy and nerdy characters,
Mhm.
like with Mona, and then
Yeah.
I mean 10 Trends to Seduce Your Best Friend.
I mean,
I
they're
had that one down
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
You guys.
I mean, like she just
she's
pretty
like the
much her
queen
whole
of the
backlist.
she's the queen of the shy and nerdy.
But it speaks to
Special
people,
shout
like,
out to
especially
Penny
her
there.
books.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, like every single one of her books, like people resonate with that so
Mhm.
much. And I think like the way she covers it, it speaks to a lot of people, readers in general.
I think
And
that's
then
something
there's-
she does exceptionally well, is bringing light to what would not necessarily be social mainstream. She
Mhm.
kind of shows us life through other people's eyes socially.
Yeah.
And she does this exceptionally well, to the point that, you know, you kind of read it and you think, again, the queen of shy, the queen of nerdy. It makes you want to, you know, if that's a character you resonate with, you're going to go and read her entire backlist and
Mhm.
love all the things she does. I do have, and I didn't mention this, in my opinion, the ultimate shy hero that we should be like using to base, Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice.
Oh yeah.
He comes off as a
No.
complete asshole,
Mhm.
but it's really because he's shy. He doesn't know how
He's
to
a total
voice.
beta.
He is a total beta.
There's
Lizzie
no
Bennett
stern
runs that
brunch daddy
role.
there. He is the beta. She wears the pants in that
Oh.
relationship.
1,000%. She is the aggressor. And she calls him out and tells him he's an asshole. So
She's the
wins.
I think
alpha.
you're right. He's not my favorite. I've already stated my favorite.
we know. We know. Okay, so now we're going to go to the beta hero. So these are books that you enjoy that have a definite beta hero in them. Okay?
Okay.
We are not shitting on betas, but
I
these
like these betas.
these are books with beta heroes, but books that we enjoyed. Okay? Okay, Lindsay, go first. Give us your betas. 1 to 2.
I don't know. I guess
Well-
I mean it's hard to pick like a favorite beta. I think a lot.
Just give us a
Okay.
couple book recs.
Well, I'll give you two. Kane and Beautifully Broken Control by Catherine Cowles. I think he's a little bit of a beta.
Mhm.
Which one? Which one?
You
I'm
can
just
pick
gonna give you
2 if
one.
it'll make you feel better.
I'm just gonna give you one.
It's too much pressure, apparently.
No, I mean I have a lot of like
Listen.
footnotes here on like books that I was like beta hero, beta hero. I didn't really like this book. Do not mention this one on the podcast.
Okay, do you want us to go to the next person?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think you could.
Do we
Leah.
need to come back to you or just skip over you?
Leah, who's your beta?
So my first beta is actually Mateo from Wolf Gone Wild by Juliet Cross. Now let me say, Mateo is 100% nerdy beta hero, but alpha is like alpha. Like that is the only alpha like tendency that like his character has. If he didn't have his wolf, like he would be total beta. But I love him because he's wonderful and amazing. Fucking alpha.
Fucking
Is the true alpha there.
Okay, Jenny, who are your betas?
The book is Toad by Sabrina Herbert. Nate, he is like in the first book in this series, he's kind of like the sidekick, and then he's a songwriter, so he's kind of like behind the scenes. He's got red hair. He calls himself limited edition because he's not your stereotypical like alpha male. Like, he's got red hair and freckles, and he's a goofy guy.
Okay. Do you have another?
And I do. Ear Candy is it's a novella by M.E. Carter and Andrea Johnson. He's an audio narrator. And
Ooh,
she's
that's
an
a good one.
erotic, she's an erotic author. So she kind of puts him in the friend box based on his looks and what he does. And
Okay, so based upon beta heroes that I like, I went with Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. I think Josh is an excellent beta hero. He is the ultimate nice guy. He is the friend that kind of just lets Hazel's chaos and crazy overtake his life, and he goes along with the plan. Like, and I would also say Jeremiah from After Hours on Milagro Street, right? He's a pretty favorite beta. And then, you know, I think all of Chloe Lisa's heroes are betas. And I enjoy the first 3 of her books.
Well, and Avery Flynn, like she writes a beta.
She does.
A lot of her books are a beta. Like all the Hardigan brothers, like they're betas.
They are. Oh,
but they're delightful.
I forgot one of my favorite books. Again, I'm going to recommend a Jiffy Kate. I keep gravitating to the same ones. But Cage is totally a beta hero.
Mhm.
Yes.
But
you
does,
would
like,
not
one of
think
those
it.
things. No, like he does one of those, he takes one of those approaches that I mentioned earlier in the episode that I really like a lot about betas. How they're kind of like caretakers, or like I didn't really elaborate, but like they'll meet the heroine when they're down and they'll help like build them back up. Whereas like I think alphas tend to like push their boundaries and help them grow in different ways. I think there's like a much more gentle approach there.
Yeah. Okay. So you will find a full list of our book recs on our On the Shelf show notes. Also look hopefully for a blog post from maybe me, but also from possibly Jenny about other shy, nerdy, and beta heroes that we love. Look for a ragey post from Leah. Maybe.
There's a lot of ragey posts coming from me.
Okay, so exclusive clip from Give Me Love by Corinne Michaels. This is a first listen for us. This book's been out for a couple weeks. But we're all going to take a first listen, and then we'll let you know what we think.
Bennett? Yes, Sweetums? Seriously? We haven't seen each other in 2.5 years. I've missed you. Can we please catch up a little, and then I promise to tell you why I'm here and for how long I plan to stay at your place, which you're going to have to agree to since there are no hotels anywhere around here.
No.
No to which?
I tilt my face heavenward and pray for divine intervention. No to all. A deep rumbling sound emits from my chest. No one makes me as crazy as she does. And the worst part is that all I want to do right now is pull her into my arms and kiss her until she melts. She grins.
I missed that growl.
I miss feeling in control, and I don't around her. I am on the last thread of my patience.
Then play nice and ask me what I'm up to. Who knows, maybe you'll get that answer.
Of all the things this woman is, manipulative is not one. She and I have always valued each other enough to be honest. When you're commanding a team of soldiers, you have to be able to trust the person who has your back. Blakely and I were instantly a team. I ran all the logistics, and she was our medic. She made sure the soldiers were cared for, and I made sure she was safe. At least, I tried. We got married for all the wrong reasons. Or maybe they were right at the time. We were both single, Wanted to bank some extra money and more because I didn't want to lose her from the unit. It was strictly paperwork. That was until I started to fall in love with her. How could I not? She's perfect, other than the fact that she refuses to love anyone. That part is not so damn perfect. What are you up to, my beautiful wife? I ask, forcing the frustration to stay out of my tone as I stand in front of her.
How sweet of you to ask.
Her hand moves to my chest, and a familiar current runs through me. Her eyes meet mine, and when her breath hitches, I know she feels it too. She steps back, shaking her head.
I am running a private investigation company out of DC.
There's a shocker. Really? When did you get out of the Army?
After you were discharged, I took a desk job with the FBI. I was going to head up a medic training program for them, but I ended up working on their task force for missing people. Once I was discharged from the Army, I decided to stay in DC, leave the FBI, way too much bureaucracy, and start my own company since I really enjoy the investigating side.
You what?
No big deal. I left 2 months ago.
Why did you leave?
Because I've had enough of the government owning me. The politics and the drama, it's ridiculous. I got a few clients recently, and I've been able to use my bureau contacts to get information.
Illegally? She huffs.
Please, I'm not bound by the same rules as someone who works for an agency.
Okay, so now you're a PI, but why are you here? Blakely leans against the railing, her long legs crossed at the ankles.
I've thought about you, Emmett.
The admission stuns me. Not that we weren't close. Not that our friendship ever wavered. Not until she walked out on me that night. Not until I realized that I couldn't be around her because I was going to fall even more in love with my wife. I've thought about you too. The admission slips out so easily. She pushes up and walks closer.
Then why haven't you called?
The phone works both ways, love. She grins.
You owed me a call first, and you know why.
Because the only response she's gotten from me in 2.5 years is a one-line email after the countless ones she sent, and then I filed for divorce. I should have warned you.
That would have been nice.
I didn't think much of it since we were basically roommates with a higher pay rate. Blakely steps closer, her dark hair shimmering in the fading sunlight.
It still hurt, Emmett. Not a note or a text. No responses for years to how many emails? Nothing other than some guy showing up, handing me the paperwork and saying I got served. We won't even talk about the shit leading up to that.
I feel like an ass, but I needed to get it done. We are both living in the past that is built on lies. I need to be free to live my life and move on. Because when I realized that I was falling for her, that I wanted to be married in every damn sense of the word, she reminded me why that wasn't possible. I thought you weren't here for that. She shrugs.
I'm not, but you were the cherry on top for this trip. I'm here because you stepped in some shit, buddy. And being the loving and doting wife I am, I came here to get you out of it before you end up dead.
Okay.
So I read part of the book, I haven't finished yet. And he, like Jason Clarke, like really gets this character's like gruffness.
I don't think I've listened to a lot of Jason Clarke because
I haven't either. I mean, granted, I'm new. I don't hate it, but he kind of gets like that because the character's kind of angry. Like he's angry at the situation. He's angry at the wife because of situation. And this is their first meeting in 2 years. And he kind of gets that anger like right on point.
okay. This is a fake marriage, but 2 years later, she's been served with divorce papers.
Well, no, she was served a while ago,
Oh,
but she has come back because of an investigation he's working on, and it kind of coincides with an investigation she is working
yeah.
on.
Has anyone else listened to a lot of Jason Clark?
No.
I know he's pretty popular. You have Lindsay.
Lindsay, have you?
Yeah, I like him and Aiden Snow and Joe Arden a lot.
Yeah. They have that gruffer voice. All three
I
of
think
those.
that's why I like him, because I've listened to a couple
Yeah.
books by him.
Yeah.
I like that gruffness.
So that
Yeah.
was Give Me Love by Corinne Michaels. It's available now. Lyric Audiobooks offers audiobook production services to some of the best indie romance authors. You can find more about Lyric Audiobooks at lyricaudiobooks.com. That was narrated by Jason Clark. The female narration is done by Vanessa Edwin. I mean, I have that on my TBR. I think I might have to buy the audio for that one, because that was kind of delightful to my ears. Anyway,
It was. I think he gets the characters like behavior spot on.
it's that time.
For book
Book
of
of
the
the
week.
week.
Totally just Jet's hands tonight.
Jazz hands.
Jazz.
Lindsay, what's your book of the week?
It's a whole series. It was Carrie Elk's Heartbreak Brothers series.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It was so good. It was everything you promised it would be and more.
I'm so glad you liked it. I love that series. My book is also a Carrie Elks book. I read book 1 in her Winterville series, Welcome to Winterville. It is Hallmark Christmas with spice. Billionaire hero that's a land developer has bought up her family's hometown that they own in West Virginia, and he wants to build a ski resort in the midst of the small town square, and it has all the Christmas vibes. It passes the Die Hard test. I cannot recommend it enough. If you're wanting to be Christmassy in spirit and you love Hallmark, you should absolutely check out Carrie Elks.
But it's not closed door.
And it is not closed door, which I made a mistake on a different book earlier this week that was closed door. Jenny, what's your book of the week?
Very Merry Bromance by
Leslie
Leslie
K.
K. Yeah. It's Colton and Gretchen's story, which you might remember Gretchen from Mac's story. It's not overly Christmassy, and what I like about it is like the characters stand up for what they believe in, like no matter what the cost is.
And stay tuned. There's going to be a quick shot for it.
There is. I heard that. Leah, what's your book of the week?
Okay, so my book of the week made me a little ragey because I didn't pay attention. So it is Plant Daddy Part 1. I did not notice the Part 1 piece by Katie Robichaud. It does have a Cliffy, and I texted Becky in a rage because I did not realize it was Part 1, and Part 2 doesn't come out until January 31st. And so now I have to wait 2 months. But it was really good. It was not your typical book because there's no sex in this book, which is not your typical Katie Robichaud book. It is these two characters like meeting, but not really meeting at the same time. Like they don't spend any time on the page. But the book itself deals with like the heroine has ADHD. She is insecure. She has such real tendencies and issues that if you read the author notes, like it really speaks to you. And I think but I am so excited for book 2. Like it's gonna be so good, but it's called Plant Daddy. But I feel like this character really is Kayla, like in a lot of the sense of the characters. Kayla's like
It's
personal, but the heroine is an author, but she talks about how she has had like writer's block for months and hasn't written a word or published for 10 months. And it's so real, like in the reality that like you and I live in.
It's on my TBR, but I think I'm going to wait till January.
You need to wait till January, because when I saw that, and then I looked at the cover a little bit closer and she talks about it, like it clearly says Part 1, but I'm a dumbass.
Okay. Okay, so if you are wondering what Buzzing About Romance is up to,
Wait, do you have a book of the week?
I did. Welcome to Winterville.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry. I got so ragey in my moment.
What about Jenny? What was your book?
The Very Merry Bromance.
Oh, that's right.
Well, okay. So if you're
Anyway.
wondering what we're up to and all of our fun
Apparently.
events, you should absolutely check out our website at bookcaseandcoffee.com/events. We list events including book club, happy hours, plot a book, and reading challenges. Also, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, and you can find the link to subscribe on our website. And that's a great way to also find out all the things
It
we
is.
have coming up.
And we typically send them out twice a month. Every once in a while, we'll send out a special one. Sometimes a month is really crazy and we forget, and I only send out one a month. But typically, we do them every 2 weeks. So.
And if you would like to continue to support the podcast and help us out, you can actually use our Amazon affiliate link for your Christmas shopping, and that is also linked on our website.
It's
And
clear the TBR time.
well,
Are we
wait,
not there
I forgot
yet?
to add it. We have a new Patreon member.
Do we?
Yes, Merritt joined Patreon this week.
Hey. Oh,
So-
Merritt's the best.
Patreon
Merritt's one of my sisters in suspense.
in your secret society.
My secret society. Secret
I don't know
society.
how secret it is. But
It's not. It's not a secret
I don't
society
know
at
how
all.
secret
That's
it
just
is.
what Becky likes to call it.
It's like a witch's circle, I think. Like, like they burn candles
We are like
and say a seance.
Like a
I don't
little,
know.
a little coven of suspense.
It's a little weird. No,
You're just jealous. You want to be part of it.
do I?
You do. We have fun over there.
Welcome, Merritt, to Patreon. We are so excited to have you. We have some great events coming up. We will have our book festivus in December and Drunk Book Club. And Book Festivus coming in December is the one time a year that you can air all your bookish grievances in a safe space and listen to me rage about all the books I hated this year. And those are exclusive to our Patreon. So join us and support us on Patreon. Okay.
Did you know that it is Clear the TBR challenge time? It is happening right now in honor of the last few weeks of 2022. We are working hard to clear and add some books that have been on our shelves for too long. There are multiple ways to work your way through the challenge. This event runs from October 24th through December 31st. We have several group reads planned, which you can find on our website, along with working on your goal you would like to read before the end of 2022. You can find details at bookcaseandcoffee.com/2022 clear the TBR /. The next group read is Dating the Duke by Emma Hart, and the group reads are held in our Discord channel, in the Contemporary Romance channel. So if you are not a part of our Discord, go to the website and you can join
and
there.
anybody can join Discord. We do have some locked channels that are part of Patreon, but if you would like to be a part of a group read, you can join us over on Discord. And it's a cool, safe space to talk about books you're loving and look for book recs, and also to complain about things.
And also, if you happen to be in a different time zone, the chats happen all the time, so that is not an issue either.
Yep. Okay, everyone, thank you for sharing your shy, nerdy, and beta book reads. Thoughts. As always, it's a good time.
Mhm.
Until next time, everyone.
Happy reading, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.